Welcome to Silent Night Archives. Tonight, we journey back into the distant past, into a world long before cities and civilizations, a world shaped by nature, silence, and the steady rhythm of survival. This video is designed to help you relax, slow your thoughts, and gently drift into rest. So take a deep breath, allow your body to soften, and let your mind wander into the ancient world of early humans. A world where every sound, every movement, and every breath carried meaning, long before written history. Early humans lived in small groups, moving across landscapes filled with forests, rivers, and open plains. Their lives were guided not by clocks or schedules, but by the rising sun, the shifting seasons, and the quiet instincts that kept them alive. Each day unfolded at its own pace, shaped by weather, hunger, and the subtle rhythms of the natural world. As the first light of dawn touched the horizon, the camp began to stir. The fire from the night before had dimmed into glowing embers, casting a faint orange shimmer across the ground. The air was cool, carrying the scent of damp earth and distant vegetation. A soft mist lingered over the land, drifting slowly between trees and stones, settling gently over sleeping bodies. One by one, members of the group awoke, some rising slowly, stretching their limbs with quiet, deliberate movements. Others remained still for a moment, listening to the sounds of the morning. Distant birds calling to one another, leaves rustling softly in the breeze, the faint trickle of water from a nearby stream, and the quiet movement of wind through tall grass. A few individuals moved toward the fire, gently placing small branches onto the embers, watching as the flames slowly returned. Growing brighter and warmer, the fire was essential. It provided heat, protection, and a place to gather. Its glow was a constant companion, a silent guardian through the long nights and early mornings. There was no rush. The morning unfolded gradually. People walked quietly, observing the world around them. Their awareness was constant, always tuned to the environment, always listening, always sensing. The land was both home and challenge, offering food, shelter, and beauty, but also demanding respect, caution, and understanding. Soon, attention turned to the day ahead. Food was always a priority. Some members of the group prepared for hunting, checking their tools, running their fingers along wooden spears tipped with carefully shaped stone, feeling the weight and balance of each weapon. Others prepared to gather plants, fruits, and roots, tying simple woven containers around their waists, ready to explore the land with patient eyes. The group often divided, each person playing a role. Hunters moved with focus and patience, stepping softly across the ground, watching for signs of animals, tracks in the soil, broken branches, subtle movements in the distance. Their senses sharpened by experience and necessity. Every sound and shadow carried meaning. Gatherers moved in a different rhythm, slower, observant, scanning the land for edible plants, berries, and roots. Their knowledge of the environment was deep and detailed. Passed down through generations, they recognized the shapes of leaves, the colors of ripe fruit, the textures of safe roots, and the scents of useful herbs. Their work was steady and essential, providing nourishment and balance to the group. Back at the camp, others remained behind, caring for children, maintaining the fire, and repairing tools. These tasks were just as important, creating stability and safety for the group. Children played nearby, their laughter soft and scattered, learning through observation and imitation, watching the adults, slowly understanding the skills they would one day need. As the sun rose higher, the landscape transformed, shadows shortened, warmth spread across the land, and the day became more active. The sounds of nature grew louder, insects buzzing through the air, birds calling from treetops. distant animal cries echoing across open plains. The world was alive, vibrant, and constantly shifting. Hunters moved carefully, sometimes for hours, tracking animals across large distances. Their success depended on patience, cooperation, and deep understanding of animal behavior. They watched the ground for fresh tracks, listened for movement in the brush, and studied the wind to avoid being detected. Every step was deliberate, every decision shaped by instinct and experience. Gatherers collected what they could carry, placing food into simple woven containers, always mindful of what was safe to eat and what was not. They tasted leaves cautiously, examined roots closely, and avoided plants with unfamiliar shapes or colors. Their knowledge was a living memory, carried in stories, gestures, and shared experience. Time passed slowly, marked not by numbers, but by movement, by hunger, by the position of the sun in the sky. The day unfolded in a natural rhythm, steady and unhurried, shaped by the land and the needs of the group. Eventually, small groups began to return to the camp, bringing with them whatever they had found. Sometimes it was enough, sometimes it was not. Survival was never guaranteed, but each day brought new opportunities, new challenges, and new lessons. If a hunt was successful, it was a significant moment. The group would work together to process the animal, carefully using stone tools to cut and prepare the meat. Nothing was wasted. Every part had value. Bones became tools. Hides became coverings. Sinew became cord. And meat became nourishment. The work was quiet, respectful, and purposeful. As the afternoon approached, activity began to slow. The heat of the day encouraged rest. People sat in shaded areas. Some slept briefly. Others worked quietly on tools, sharpening stones, repairing wooden handles, shaping new points for spears. The sound of stone tapping against stone echoed softly through the camp. Rhythmic and steady, children played with sticks and stones, imitating the movements of the adults, practicing balance, coordination, and awareness. Their games were simple, but each moment taught them something about the world, about survival, about community. As the sun began to lower in the sky, the light softened, shadows grew longer, and the air cooled once again. The group gradually gathered back together, the camp becoming active once more. The fire was strengthened, flames rising higher, casting warm light across faces and surrounding trees. This was a time of connection, of shared presence, of quiet communication. Food was prepared and shared, each person receiving a portion, eating slowly, appreciating the effort it had taken to obtain it. The taste of roasted meat, the sweetness of berries, the earthy flavor of roots. Each bite was a reminder of the land's generosity and the group's cooperation. After eating, the pace slowed even further. Conversations were soft, gestures simple. Some individuals stared into the fire, lost in thought. Others listened to the sounds of the night beginning to emerge. Insects chirping, distant animals calling, the soft rustle of leaves in the evening breeze. The sky darkened gradually, stars appearing one by one. Stretching across the vast darkness above, the world became quieter. Calmer and more still, the fire crackled softly, sending sparks drifting upward into the night, disappearing into the endless sky. One by one, people prepared for rest, lying down near the fire, using simple coverings made from animal skins. The warmth of the flames and the presence of the group provided comfort and security. The night was cool, but the fire's glow created a circle of safety, a place where stories were shared, memories passed down, and silence held meaning. The cycle of the day had come to an end, not with urgency, but with a natural and gentle transition into night. The world slowed, breath by breath, movement by movement, until only the quiet sounds of sleep remained, and as sleep slowly took hold, the world of early humans became still once again, waiting for the quiet return of dawn, waiting for the soft light that would begin the cycle anew, guiding them into another day shaped by nature, by instinct, and by the steady rhythm of life itself. The night is slowly loosening its hold on the land, and the first hints of dawn begin to gather along the distant horizon. A faint glow that spreads gently across the sky, soft and pale, like a quiet breath drawn by the earth itself. The darkness thinning with each passing moment, revealing the subtle shapes of trees, stones, and sleeping bodies curled beneath simple coverings made from animal hides, their forms rising and falling in a slow, steady rhythm, shaped by the deep rest of the night. The fire at the center of the camp has burned low, leaving behind a bed of glowing embers that pulse with a warm, reddish light, casting a dim shimmer across the ground. The scent of smoke lingers in the cool air, mixing with the earthy smell of damp soil and crushed grass, creating an atmosphere that feels ancient, grounded, and deeply connected to the land. A thin mist drifts across the clearing, moving lazily between the trees and settling in the hollows of the earth, its presence softening the edges of the world, making everything appear slightly blurred, as if the land itself is still waking, still stretching, still adjusting to the slow return of light. The air is crisp and cool, brushing gently against exposed skin, carrying with it the faint sounds of the early morning, the distant call of a bird hidden among the branches, the soft rustle of leaves stirred by a light breeze, the quiet trickle of water from a nearby stream. These sounds blend together into a calm, natural chorus, subtle and soothing, a reminder that life is already stirring beyond the boundaries of the camp. One of the adults shifts beneath their hide covering, rolling onto their side before slowly pushing themselves upright, their movements unhurried, shaped by the natural rhythm of a life lived without clocks or alarms. They blink against the growing light, rubbing sleep from their eyes, their breath visible in the cold air. Rising in small clouds, they drift upward and disappear. They sit for a moment, listening, sensing, allowing their mind to settle into the morning before rising fully. The world around them feels quiet, safe, and familiar. A place shaped by countless mornings, just like this one. Another figure stirs nearby. A young woman who pulls her covering aside and sits up slowly, stretching her arms overhead, feeling the stiffness in her muscles from the night's chill. She moves toward the fire, crouching beside the embers, her hands hovering above the faint warmth. She gathers a handful of dry twigs and places them gently onto the glowing coals, watching as the embers brighten, small sparks rising and fading into the air. She leans closer, blowing softly, coaxing the fire back to life. The flames respond gradually, growing taller, warmer, more confident, casting a soft orange glow across her face and the ground around her. The fire crackles quietly, its warmth spreading outward in gentle waves. Others begin to wake, drawn by the growing light and the renewed warmth of the fire. Some sit quietly, letting the heat seep into their hands and feet. Others stretch their limbs, rolling their shoulders, loosening muscles stiff from the cold. The group moves with a calm, unhurried rhythm, each person adjusting to the morning in their own way. Some remain lying down for a while longer, listening to the sounds of the waking world, letting their thoughts drift gently before rising. Communication is subtle, shaped by familiarity and shared experience. Words are used sparingly, replaced by nods, glances, and the quiet understanding that comes from living closely together. The sky continues to brighten, shifting from pale gray to soft gold. The sun still hidden behind the horizon, but already shaping the colors of the land. Long shadows stretch across the ground, merging with the mist, creating a landscape that feels both familiar and dreamlike. The air carries the scent of wet grass, smoke, and the faint sweetness of crushed leaves beneath bare feet. The world feels fresh, renewed, and full of quiet possibility. The kind of morning that invites slow movement and deep breaths. A man steps away from the fire and walks toward the edge of the camp, scanning the surrounding forest with quiet attention, his movements slow and deliberate, shaped by years of living in close relationship with the land. He listens to the wind, to the distant calls of animals, to the subtle shifts in the environment that reveal what the day might bring. His awareness is constant, not tense, but deeply attuned. A natural extension of survival, he kneels beside a patch of disturbed soil, running his fingers lightly across the surface, feeling the texture, the moisture, the faint impressions left by an animal that passed through during the night. He studies the tracks for a moment before rising again, carrying the information silently. Storing it for later, asterisk nearby, a child awakens. Rubbing sleep from their eyes, their small hands reaching instinctively for the warmth of the fire. They sit close to one of the adults, leaning gently against them. Watching the flames dance and flicker, the fire is more than warmth. It is comfort, protection, and familiarity. A steady presence that anchors the group through the cycles of day and night. The child listens to the soft crackling of the wood, their gaze drifting between the fire and the slowly brightening sky, absorbing the quiet beauty of the morning without needing to understand it fully. Asterisk as the sun finally breaks the horizon, a soft golden light spills across the land, illuminating the tops of trees, glinting off dew-covered leaves, and warming the faces of those gathered near the fire. The mist begins to lift, rising slowly into the air before dissolving into the growing warmth. The world becomes clearer, sharper, more alive, yet still calm, still gentle, still wrapped in the quiet of early morning. The light reveals the textures of the camp, the woven baskets resting near the fire, the stone tools arranged neatly on a flat rock, the footprints pressed into the soft earth, each one a small record of movement, presence, and life. Asterisk. Some members of the group walk toward the stream, their footsteps soft against the damp ground. They kneel beside the water, cupping their hands and bringing the cool liquid to their lips. The water is fresh and clear, flowing gently over smooth stones, carrying with it the crisp taste of the night's chill. They splash their faces, letting the cold water wake their senses, droplets falling from their skin and rippling across the surface of the stream. The sound of water blends with the rustling of leaves, creating a peaceful harmony that fills the clearing. Asterisk back at the fire, others prepare simple morning tasks, adjusting the placement of tools, checking the condition of baskets, ensuring that the fire has enough fuel to last through the early hours. Their movements are efficient but unhurried, shaped by routine and necessity, each action performed with quiet focus. The kind of focus that comes from living in a world where every task, no matter how small, contributes to the group's survival. Asterisk the camp itself is modest, a small clearing surrounded by trees and low brush. The ground covered in flattened grass and scattered stones, the remains of previous fires forming dark circles in the earth. Tools rest nearby, shaped from stone, bone, and wood, each one crafted with care and used with purpose. Nothing is wasted, nothing is taken for granted. Every object carries meaning, effort, and memory. The camp feels lived in, familiar and safe, a temporary home shaped by the needs of the group and the resources of the land. Asterisk as the morning continues to unfold, the group begins to prepare for the tasks ahead. Though still without haste, the day will bring challenges, movement, and effort. But for now, the world remains quiet. Peaceful and unhurried, the fire crackles softly. The breeze moves gently through the trees, and the first full light of day settles across the land like a warm, calming blanket, wrapping the camp in a sense of safety and stillness. A moment of balance before the demands of survival begin to shape the hours to come. Asterisk, the day has begun, not with urgency, but with the slow, natural rhythm that has guided early humans for countless generations. A rhythm shaped by the land, the light, and the quiet strength of those who call this ancient world their home. A rhythm that will carry them through the morning and into the long, unfolding journey of the day ahead. The morning light continues to grow stronger as the sun rises higher above the horizon, spreading a warm, golden glow across the landscape, illuminating the camp and the surrounding forest with a gentle radiance that softens every shape and texture. The air remains cool, but carries a hint of the warmth that will come later in the day, a promise of comfort after the long chill of the night. The group moves slowly, but with increasing purpose, their bodies fully awake now, their senses attuned to the world around them, ready to begin the tasks that will shape the day ahead. The fire burns steadily at the center of the camp, its flames rising and falling in a calm rhythm, casting shifting patterns of light across the ground. The scent of smoke drifts through the air, mingling with the earthy aroma of damp soil and crushed leaves, creating a familiar atmosphere that signals the start of daily routines. A few individuals gather near the fire, adjusting tools, checking the condition of spears, and preparing the items they will need for the hours to come. Their movements are deliberate and practiced, shaped by years of repetition and the quiet understanding that survival depends on readiness. One of the hunters kneels beside a flat stone where several tools rest, each one shaped from flint, bone, or wood. He picks up a stone blade, running his thumb carefully along its edge, feeling the sharpness, the smoothness, the slight irregularities that reveal how recently it was shaped. He lifts another tool, a spear with a stone point secured tightly with sinew, testing its balance, its weight, its strength. He adjusts the binding slightly, tightening it with practiced fingers, ensuring that the point will hold firm when needed. His expression is calm, focused, and steady, reflecting the seriousness of the task ahead nearby. Another hunter prepares a different set of tools, smaller and more delicate, used for cutting, scraping, and processing plants or small animals. She arranges them neatly in a woven pouch made from plant fibers, checking each one with quiet attention, her movements smooth and efficient. Shaped by long experience and a deep familiarity with the land, she ties the pouch securely to her waist, ensuring that it will not shift or fall as she moves through the forest. The gatherers prepare as well, selecting baskets woven from flexible branches and grasses. Their shapes sturdy yet lightweight, designed to carry fruits, roots, leaves, and other edible plants found throughout the landscape. They examine the baskets for signs of wear, repairing small breaks with thin strips of bark, reinforcing the edges where needed. Their hands move with gentle precision, guided by knowledge passed down through countless generations. Knowledge that ensures the group will have enough food to sustain them through the day. The sun climbs higher, casting long beams of light through the trees, illuminating the forest floor with shifting patterns of brightness and shadow. The sounds of the morning grow louder, birds calling from the branches above, insects buzzing through the air, the distant rustle of animals moving through the underbrush. The world feels alive, vibrant, and full of subtle movement. A landscape rich with opportunity, but also with challenge. A place where every sound, every scent, every shift in the wind carries meaning. The hunters gather near the edge of the camp, their tools ready, their bodies relaxed but alert. They speak quietly, exchanging brief gestures and glances, communicating without the need for many words. They discuss the tracks seen earlier, the direction of the wind, the likely paths of animals moving through the forest, their voices low and steady, blending with the natural sounds of the morning. Once they are ready, they begin to move, stepping softly across the ground, their footsteps barely disturbing the grass and leaves beneath them. Their senses sharpened, their attention focused on the land ahead. They move in a loose formation, spaced far enough apart to cover more ground, but close enough to maintain awareness of one another. Their eyes scan the forest floor for tracks, broken branches, disturbed soil. Any sign that an animal has passed through recently. They listen for subtle sounds. The faint crack of a twig, the soft rustle of leaves, the distant call of a creature hidden among the trees. Their movements are slow, deliberate, and quiet, shaped by the understanding that patience is essential. That rushing would only alert the animals and reduce their chances of success. The forest around them is dense with life, tall trees rising overhead, their branches forming a canopy that filters the sunlight into soft, dappled patterns on the ground. The air is cool and filled with the scent of moss, bark, and damp earth. The hunters move through this environment with ease, their bodies accustomed to the uneven terrain, stepping over roots, ducking beneath low branches, weaving between tree trunks with fluid, practiced motions. They pause occasionally, crouching to examine a track or listen more closely to a distant sound. Their breathing slow and controlled, blending seamlessly with the quiet of the forest. Meanwhile, the gatherers move in a different direction, heading toward an area where edible plants are known to grow, their pace slower, their attention focused on the ground and the low shrubs that line the forest floor. They scan the landscape for familiar shapes and colors, the bright red of ripe berries, the broad leaves of certain roots, the delicate flowers that signal the presence of edible bulbs beneath the soil. Their knowledge of the land is deep and detailed, shaped by years of observation and learning. They recognize the subtle differences between safe plants and those that are harmful, their decisions guided by memory, instinct, and shared experience. They kneel beside a patch of low shrubs, examining the leaves and stems with careful attention. One of them plucks a berry, rolling it gently between her fingers, checking its firmness, its color, its scent. She nods softly, signaling that it is safe, and begins to gather the berries, placing them gently into her basket. The others do the same, working quietly and efficiently, their hands moving with practiced ease. The sound of berries dropping into the baskets is soft and rhythmic, blending with the rustling of leaves and the distant calls of birds. Further along, they find a cluster of plants with broad, green leaves, their roots hidden beneath the soil. One of the gatherers kneels and begins to dig carefully with a small stone tool, loosening the earth around the base of the plant, lifting the root gently from the ground, brushing away the dirt to reveal its pale, firm surface. She examines it closely, checking for signs of rot or damage, then places it into her basket. The others follow her lead, working together to collect enough roots to supplement the group's food supply for the day. Back at the camp, a few individuals remain behind, tending to tasks that are just as essential as hunting and gathering. One person adds more wood to the fire, ensuring that it remains strong and steady. Another checks the condition of the hides used for sleeping, shaking out debris and laying them in the sun to air. A third person works on repairing tools, using a small hammerstone to shape a new flint blade, striking the stone with precise, controlled movements that send small flakes flying, each flake revealing a sharper edge beneath. The sound of stone tapping against stone echoes softly through the clearing, a steady, rhythmic sound that blends with the natural ambiance of the morning. Children play nearby, their movements light and curious, exploring the edges of the camp, picking up sticks, stones, and leaves, examining them with wide eyes, imitating the actions of the adults, practicing the skills they will one day need. Their laughter is soft and scattered, carried gently by the breeze, adding a sense of warmth and life to the camp. They move with a freedom that reflects their youth, yet always remain within sight of the adults, who watch them with quiet attentiveness, ensuring their safety while allowing them to learn through exploration. As the hunters continue deeper into the forest, they come across fresh tracks, the impressions clear and well-defined in the soft soil. The shape and size indicate a medium-sized animal, likely a deer or similar creature. The hunters crouch beside the tracks, examining them closely, noting the direction, the depth, the spacing, all clues that reveal the animal's movement, speed, and recent behavior. They exchange brief gestures, silently agreeing on a plan, then begin to follow the trail, moving with increased focus and precision, their bodies low, their steps soft, their senses heightened. The forest grows quieter as they move deeper, the sounds of the camp fading behind them, replaced by the subtle noises of the wild, the rustle of leaves stirred by the wind, the distant call of a bird, the faint crack of a branch beneath the weight of an unseen creature. The hunters pause frequently, listening, watching, adjusting their path based on the signs they observe. Their movements are fluid and coordinated, shaped by years of working together, their trust in one another strong and unspoken. The gatherers, too, continue their work, moving from one patch of plants to another, their baskets gradually filling with berries, roots, leaves, and other edible items. They work in harmony, sharing knowledge, pointing out useful plants, helping one another reach higher branches or dig deeper into the soil. Their voices are soft, their movements gentle, their presence blending seamlessly with the natural world around them. They pause occasionally to drink from a small stream or rest beneath the shade of a tree, allowing their bodies to recover before continuing their tasks. Back at the camp, the fire burns steadily, its warmth spreading across the clearing. The individuals who remained behind continue their work, repairing tools, tending to the fire, watching over the children, their movements calm and steady, shaped by the understanding that every task, no matter how small, contributes to the group's survival. The camp feels peaceful, grounded, and safe, a temporary home shaped by the needs of the group and the resources of the land. As the sun climbs higher into the sky, the light grows brighter, the air warmer, the sounds of the forest more vibrant. The day is fully underway now, shaped by the steady rhythm of survival, a rhythm that has guided early humans for countless generations, a rhythm that continues to unfold with quiet purpose and deep connection to the land. The sun continues its slow climb across the sky, spreading a warm and gentle light over the landscape, softening the edges of trees, stones, and grasses, filling the clearing with a sense of calm and quiet purpose. The morning tasks of hunting and gathering have taken some members of the group away from the camp, leaving behind a smaller circle of individuals who now turn their attention to the rhythms of daily life, the tasks that sustain the group, not through dramatic action, but through steady, patient effort, the kind of work that shapes the foundation of survival in this ancient world. The fire burns steadily at the center of the camp, its flames rising and falling in a calm, rhythmic motion, casting shifting patterns of orange and gold across the ground. The scent of smoke drifts through the air, mingling with the earthy aroma of damp soil, crushed leaves, and sun-warmed grass, creating an atmosphere that feels both grounding and familiar, a constant presence that anchors the group through the cycles of day and night, warmth and cold, light and darkness. A woman sits near the fire, her legs folded beneath her, a piece of animal hide spread across her lap. She works with quiet concentration, using a small stone scraper to clean and soften the hide, her movements smooth and practiced, shaped by years of repetition. The sound of the scraper gliding across the surface is soft and rhythmic, blending with the crackling of the fire and the distant calls of birds hidden among the trees. She pauses occasionally to adjust her grip, to examine the hide, to ensure that it is becoming supple and usable, her expression calm, her breath steady, her presence a quiet reminder of the essential tasks that sustain the group. Nearby, another adult works on repairing a wooden spear shaft, holding it carefully in their hands, running their fingers along its length to feel for imperfections. They use a small stone blade to shave away rough patches, smoothing the wood with slow, deliberate strokes. The scent of freshly cut wood rises into the air, sharp and clean, mixing with the other natural aromas of the camp. They test the flexibility of the shaft, bending it gently, listening for the subtle creak that reveals its strength. Their focus unwavering, their movements precise, shaped by the understanding that a well-made tool can mean the difference between success and failure in the hours ahead. A few steps away, a young adolescent practices with a smaller spear, holding it in both hands, adjusting their stance, shifting their weight from one foot to the other, mimicking the movements they have seen the adults perform countless times. Their motions are tentative at first, then gradually more confident, their body learning through repetition, through observation, through the quiet encouragement of those around them. An older member of the group watches from a short distance, offering occasional gestures of guidance, demonstrating a technique, correcting a grip, showing how to align the body with the direction of the throw. The exchange is subtle, shaped by shared understanding rather than spoken instruction, a passing of knowledge from one generation to the next. Children play near the edge of the clearing, their laughter soft and scattered, carried gently by the breeze. They pick up sticks, stones, and leaves, examining them with wide eyes, turning them over in their hands, discovering textures, shapes, and patterns. They imitate the actions of the adults, pretending to scrape hides, repair tools, or track animals. Their movements light and curious, their imaginations weaving simple objects into symbols of the world they are learning to navigate. They chase one another through the tall grass, their footsteps soft, their voices blending with the natural sounds of the morning, their presence adding a sense of warmth and life to the camp. An older member of the group sits beneath the shade of a tree, their posture relaxed, their gaze distant. They hold a piece of bone in their hands, shaping it slowly with a small stone tool, creating a smooth, curved form that will eventually become a needle, a hook, or a decorative object. Their movements are slow but steady, shaped by years of experience. Their hands weathered but skilled, each motion deliberate, each decision informed by memory and instinct. They pause occasionally to look around the camp, their eyes soft, observing the younger members with a quiet sense of continuity, their presence a living link to the past, a repository of knowledge that guides the group through the challenges of the present. The camp itself is alive with subtle movement, the shifting of shadows as the sun climbs higher, the rustling of leaves stirred by a gentle breeze, the soft hum of insects drifting through the air, the distant calls of animals hidden among the trees. The world feels vibrant yet calm, a place where every sound, every scent, every shift in the wind carries meaning. The clearing is bordered by tall grasses and scattered trees, their branches swaying gently, casting dappled patterns of light across the ground. The earth beneath the group's feet is firm, but softened by layers of dried grass, leaves, and the remnants of previous fires, creating a surface that feels both familiar and comforting. A woman kneels beside a small pile of stones arranged in a shallow circle, using a larger stone to crack open nuts collected the day before. The sound of stone striking shell echoes softly through the clearing, a steady, rhythmic tapping that blends with the other sounds of daily life. She separates the shells from the edible kernels, placing the food into a small woven basket. Her hands moving with practiced ease, her expression calm and focused. She pauses occasionally to brush away debris, to adjust her position, to stretch her fingers before continuing her work. Another adult tends to the fire, adding small branches and adjusting the placement of larger logs to ensure that the flames burn steadily. They use a long stick to shift the embers, creating space for new fuel. The fire responds with a soft crackle, sending sparks drifting upward into the air. Disappearing into the brightening sky, the warmth spreads outward, creating a comfortable space where others gather to rest, to work, to share quiet moments of connection. The sun climbs higher, casting a warm glow across the clearing. The air grows slightly warmer, though still cool enough to feel refreshing. The light reveals the textures of the camp in greater detail. The woven patterns of baskets, the smooth surfaces of stone tools, the rough fibers of hides stretched across wooden frames, the footprints pressed into the soft earth, each one a small record of movement, presence and life. The camp feels lived in, familiar and safe, a temporary home shaped by the needs of the group and the resources of the land. A pair of gatherers return briefly to the camp, carrying small bundles of plants collected from the nearby forest, their baskets partially filled with leaves, roots, and berries. They set their baskets near the fire, sharing brief gestures with those who remained behind, their faces calm but focused, their bodies relaxed but purposeful. They drink from the stream, splashing cool water onto their faces, letting the chill refresh their senses before heading back into the forest to continue their work. Their movements smooth and efficient, shaped by the understanding that gathering is a task that requires patience, attention, and endurance. The older member beneath the tree continues shaping the bone, their hands steady, their breath slow. The sound of the tool scraping against the bone is soft and rhythmic, blending with the other sounds of the camp. They pause occasionally to examine their progress, turning the bone in their hands, feeling its weight, its shape, its potential. They adjust their grip, refine their technique, and continue working, their presence a quiet reminder of the deep knowledge that sustains the group, knowledge passed down through countless generations, knowledge that ensures the continuity of life in this ancient world. The adolescent practicing with the spear pauses to rest, wiping sweat from their brow, their breathing steady but slightly elevated. They sit near the fire, watching the adults work, absorbing their movements, their techniques, their quiet focus. They hold the spear across their lap, running their fingers along its length, feeling the smoothness of the wood, the sharpness of the stone point, the strength of the binding. They close their eyes for a moment, imagining the movements they will practice next, the skills they will one day master, the responsibilities they will eventually carry. Children continue to explore the edges of the clearing, their curiosity boundless. They pick up stones and examine their shapes, their colors, their textures. They gather leaves and arrange them in small piles, creating patterns that only they understand. They mimic the actions of the adults, pretending to scrape hides, repair tools, or track animals. Their play is not separate from learning, but intertwined with it, a natural extension of the world they inhabit, a world where every object, every sound, every movement carries meaning. The camp hums with quiet activity, each person engaged in a task that contributes to the group's survival. The atmosphere is calm, steady, and grounded, shaped by the understanding that daily life is not defined by dramatic moments, but by the accumulation of small, essential actions. Actions performed with care, with patience, with a deep connection to the land and to one another. As the sun reaches its highest point in the sky, the light grows brighter, the air warmer, the shadows shorter. The sounds of the forest more vibrant, the day continues to unfold with a steady rhythm. A rhythm shaped by the land, the light, and the quiet strength of those who call this ancient world their home. A rhythm that will carry them through the afternoon and into the long, gentle descent toward evening. The sun has climbed high into the sky, its warm light spreading across the land in broad, gentle waves, softening the shadows beneath the trees and illuminating the clearing with a golden glow that settles over every surface. The air has grown warmer, carrying with it the scent of sun-warmed grass, dry earth, and the faint sweetness of distant flowers. The sounds of the morning have shifted into the steady hum of midday. Insects buzzing lazily through the air, birds calling from shaded branches, the distant rustle of animals moving slowly through the underbrush. The world feels calm, expansive, and unhurried. Shaped by the slow rhythm of the afternoon, the camp rests in a quiet lull, the earlier activity giving way to a softer, more measured pace. Those who remained behind continue their tasks, but their movements have slowed, shaped by the growing heat and the natural desire to conserve energy during the warmest part of the day. The fire burns lower now, its flames reduced to a steady glow, the heat from the sun making the fire's warmth less necessary. Though its presence remains comforting, a constant anchor at the center of the clearing. A woman sits beneath the shade of a tall tree, her back resting against the rough bark. Her legs stretched out before her, she holds a piece of wood in her hands, carving it slowly with a small stone blade, shaping it into a smooth, rounded form that will eventually become a tool handle or a simple object for daily use. Her movements are slow and deliberate, shaped by the heat of the afternoon and the quiet calm that settles over the camp. The sound of the blade scraping against the wood is soft and rhythmic, blending with the gentle rustling of leaves overhead. Nearby, another adult lies on their side, resting on a bed of dried grass and leaves, their eyes half closed, their breathing slow and steady. They are not fully asleep, but drifting in a state of quiet rest, allowing their body to recover from the morning's work. The warmth of the sun seeps into their muscles, loosening tension, easing fatigue. Their fingers trace absent patterns in the dirt beside them, small circles and lines that disappear with the slightest movement of the breeze. Children play more quietly now, their earlier energy softened by the heat. They sit in the shade, arranging stones into small patterns, stacking them into tiny towers, or drawing shapes in the dirt with sticks. Their voices are soft, their laughter gentle. Carried lightly by the warm air, they imitate the adults in quieter ways, pretending to carve wood or scrape hides, their movements slower, more thoughtful, shaped by the stillness of the afternoon. An older member of the group sits near the fire, though not too close, their posture relaxed, their gaze distant. They hold a piece of bone in their hands, shaping it with slow, careful movements. Their hands steady despite their age, their breath calm, their presence a quiet reminder of the continuity that binds the group together. They pause occasionally to look around the camp, their eyes soft, observing the younger members with a sense of quiet pride and gentle watchfulness. Their presence brings a sense of stability, a grounding force that helps maintain the calm of the afternoon. The gatherers return to the camp in small groups, their baskets partially filled with leaves, roots, and berries collected from the forest. Their movements slower now, shaped by the heat and the effort of the morning's work. They set their baskets near the fire, sharing brief gestures with those who remained behind, their faces calm but tired, their bodies relaxed but purposeful. They drink from the stream, cupping their hands to bring the cool water to their lips, splashing their faces, letting the chill refresh their senses. The water glistens on their skin, catching the sunlight in small, shimmering droplets. Some of the gatherers sit beneath the shade of nearby trees, resting their legs, stretching their backs. allowing their bodies to cool before continuing their tasks. They examine the plants they collected, sorting them into small piles, separating edible leaves from tougher stems, removing dirt from roots, checking berries for signs of spoilage. Their hands move with practiced ease, their expressions calm and focused, their presence adding to the quiet hum of activity that fills the camp. The hunters return later, their movements slower than when they left, their bodies carrying the weight of hours spent trekking through the forest, their faces marked by concentration and effort. They carry with them the results of their work, sometimes plentiful, sometimes modest, but always valuable. They set down their tools, stretching their limbs, rolling their shoulders, letting the tension ease from their muscles. They drink deeply from the stream, the cool water refreshing their dry throats, their breaths steadying as they settle into the calm of the afternoon. One of the hunters sits near the fire, examining the stone point of their spear, checking for cracks or dullness, running their fingers along the edge, feeling the texture, the sharpness, the subtle imperfections that reveal how the tool has been used. They take a small hammerstone and begin to chip away at the flint, shaping it with slow, precise movements, each strike controlled, each flake falling to the ground with a soft, delicate sound. The process is meditative, a quiet ritual that connects them to the long lineage of those who shaped tools before them. Another hunter lies back on the grass, their hands folded behind their head, their eyes closed, their chest rising and falling in a slow, steady rhythm. They listen to the sounds of the camp, the crackling of the fire, the soft voices of the gatherers, the gentle laughter of the children, the distant hum of insects, the rustling of leaves stirred by the breeze. The world feels peaceful, grounded, and safe. A moment of rest earned through the effort of the morning. The sun continues its slow journey across the sky, its light shifting from bright gold to a softer, warmer hue. The shadows beneath the trees lengthen, stretching across the ground in long, gentle lines. The air remains warm, but carries a hint of the coolness that will come later. A subtle reminder that the day is beginning its gradual descent toward evening. The camp remains quiet, its activity steady but subdued, shaped by the natural rhythm of the afternoon. A woman sits near the stream, washing her hands and arms, letting the cool water flow across her skin. She watches the ripples spread outward. Catching the sunlight in shimmering patterns, she dips a woven basket into the water, rinsing it gently, removing bits of dirt and leaves. Her movements slow and deliberate, shaped by the calm of the afternoon. She pauses to look around, taking in the sight of the camp, the people resting, the children playing, the fire burning steadily, the trees swaying gently in the breeze. The world feels balanced, harmonious, and deeply connected. Another adult gathers fallen branches from the edge of the clearing, selecting pieces of wood that will be used later to strengthen the fire as the evening approaches. They carry the branches back to the camp, stacking them neatly beside the fire, their movements steady and unhurried, shaped by the understanding that preparation is a constant part of life, that the needs of the group must always be anticipated, even in moments of rest. The older member beneath the tree continues shaping the bone, their hands moving with slow, steady precision, the sound of the tool scraping against the bone, blending with the other sounds of the camp. They pause occasionally to stretch their fingers, to examine their progress, to adjust their technique. Their presence a quiet reminder of the deep knowledge that sustains the group, knowledge passed down through countless generations, knowledge that ensures the continuity of life in this ancient world. The children, now calmer, sit in a small circle, sharing leaves, stones, and sticks, creating simple patterns on the ground. Their voices soft, their movements gentle. They imitate the adults in quieter ways, pretending to carve wood or scrape hides. Their play a reflection of the world they are learning to navigate, A world where every object, every sound, every movement carries meaning. Their presence adds a sense of warmth and life to the camp, a reminder of the future that grows quietly within the present. As the afternoon deepens, the camp settles into a state of quiet rest, the heat of the day encouraging stillness, the warm light creating a sense of calm and comfort, the sounds of the forest softening as animals retreat into the shade, the breeze carrying the scent of sun-warmed grass and distant flowers. The world feels peaceful, grounded, and deeply connected, a place where time moves slowly, shaped by the natural rhythms of the land and the steady presence of those who call it home. The group rests, recovers, and prepares for the evening ahead, their bodies renewed by the calm of the afternoon, their minds settled by the quiet beauty of the world around them. The day continues its gentle descent toward evening, carrying with it the promise of warmth, connection, and the steady glow of the fire that will soon become the heart of the camp once more. The sun begins its slow descent toward the horizon, its warm light stretching across the land in long, gentle beams that soften the edges of the world. The heat of the afternoon fades gradually, replaced by a cooler breeze that drifts through the clearing, carrying with it the scent of dry grass, distant flowers, and the faint sweetness of ripening berries hidden among the shrubs. The shadows beneath the trees grow longer, stretching across the ground like dark, slender fingers. The sky shifts from bright gold to a deeper, richer hue, a soft amber that signals the beginning of evening, a time when the camp gathers again, when the scattered movements of the day return to a shared center, when the fire becomes the heart of the world once more. The camp stirs with renewed activity as the gatherers return from the forest, their baskets filled with leaves, roots, berries, and other plants collected throughout the day, their movements slower now, shaped by the long hours of work and the warmth of the afternoon. They set their baskets near the fire, exchanging quiet gestures with those who remained behind, their faces calm but marked by the effort of the day, their bodies relaxed but purposeful. They drink from the stream, letting the cool water refresh their senses, washing away the dust and sweat of the long hours spent moving through the forest. The hunters return shortly after, emerging from the trees with steady, measured steps, their bodies carrying the weight of the day's work, their faces marked by concentration, patience, and the quiet intensity of tracking animals through the dense underbrush. They carry with them the results of their efforts, sometimes modest, sometimes plentiful, but always valuable. They set down their tools, stretching their limbs, rolling their shoulders, letting the tension ease from their muscles, their breaths slow and steady, their presence adding a sense of completion to the day's cycle. The fire, which burned low during the warmest hours, is now tended with renewed attention. A few individuals gather around it, adding branches and adjusting the placement of logs to encourage the flames to rise. The fire responds eagerly, crackling softly as it grows, sending sparks drifting upward into the darkening sky. The warm glow spreads across the clearing, illuminating faces, tools, baskets, and the soft contours of the surrounding trees. The scent of smoke deepens, mingling with the earthy aromas of the camp, creating an atmosphere that feels ancient, grounding, and deeply familiar. A woman kneels beside the fire, sorting through the plants gathered earlier, separating edible leaves from tougher stems, removing dirt from roots, checking berries for signs of spoilage. Her hands move with practiced ease, her expression calm and focused. She places the edible portions into a woven basket, setting aside the tougher parts to be used later for tools, cordage, or fire kindling. Her movements are steady and deliberate, shaped by years of experience and the quiet understanding that every part of the plant has value, that nothing is wasted in this world, where resources are precious and survival depends on careful use of everything the land provides. Nearby, another adult begins to prepare the meat brought by the hunters. Using a sharp stone blade to cut through muscle and sinew, their movements precise and efficient. Shaped by long practice, they work quietly, their breath steady, their focus unwavering. The scent of fresh meat mixes with the smoke of the fire, creating an aroma that signals nourishment, effort, and the shared labor of the group. They place the prepared pieces onto a flat stone near the fire, ready to be cooked once the flames settle into a steady heat. Children gather near the edge of the clearing, watching the adults with wide eyes. Their earlier play softened by the calm of the evening. They sit in small groups, sharing leaves, stones, and sticks, creating simple patterns on the ground. Their voices soft, their movements gentle. They imitate the adults in quieter ways, pretending to prepare food or tend the fire. Their play a reflection of the world they are learning to navigate. A world where every action carries meaning, where every task contributes to the survival of the group. Their presence adds a sense of warmth and continuity to the camp, a reminder of the future that grows quietly within the present. An older member of the group sits near the fire, their posture relaxed, their gaze distant. They hold a piece of bone in their hands, shaping it slowly with a small stone tool. Their movements slow but steady, shaped by years of experience. Their hands weathered but skilled, each motion deliberate, each decision informed by memory and instinct. They pause occasionally to look around the camp, their eyes soft, observing the younger members with a quiet sense of pride and gentle watchfulness. Their presence brings a sense of stability, a grounding force that helps maintain the calm of the evening. The sky continues to darken, shifting from amber to deep orange, then to a soft, muted red that stretches across the horizon. The first stars begin to appear, faint at first, then gradually brighter as the light fades. The air grows cooler, carrying with it the scent of night blooming plants and the distant rustle of animals moving through the forest. The world feels quieter now, the sounds of the day giving way to the softer, more subtle sounds of evening, the gentle hum of insects, the occasional call of a bird settling into its nest, the soft rustling of leaves stirred by the breeze. The fire becomes the center of the camp, its warm glow drawing everyone closer. The group gathers around it, sitting on the ground or on simple bedding made from dried grass and hides, their bodies relaxed, their faces illuminated by the flickering light. The fire crackles softly, sending sparks drifting upward into the darkening sky. The warmth spreads outward, creating a circle of comfort and safety, a place where the group can rest, share food, and connect after the long hours of the day. Food is prepared and shared, the cooked meat passed from hand to hand, the gathered plants distributed evenly among the group, each person receiving a portion, eating slowly, appreciating the effort that went into obtaining the food, the taste of roasted meat, the sweetness of berries, the earthy flavor of roots, each bite a reminder of the land's generosity and the group's cooperation. The meal is quiet, shaped by the calm of the evening, by the shared understanding that nourishment is both a necessity and a moment of connection. After eating, the pace of the camp slows even further. Conversations are soft, gestures simple. Some individuals sit close to the fire, staring into the flames, their thoughts drifting gently. Others lie back on the grass, watching the sky darken. Observing the stars as they appear one by one, the world feels expansive yet intimate. The vastness of the sky balanced by the closeness of the group. The warmth of the fire, the steady rhythm of breath and movement. The older member beneath the tree continues shaping the bone, their hands moving with slow, steady precision. The sound of the tools scraping against the bone, blending with the other sounds of the camp. They pause occasionally to stretch their fingers, to examine their progress, to adjust their technique. their presence a quiet reminder of the deep knowledge that sustains the group. Knowledge passed down through countless generations. Knowledge that ensures the continuity of life in this ancient world. The children, now calmer, sit near the fire, their eyes heavy with the onset of sleep. They lean against the adults, their bodies relaxed, their breaths slow and steady, the warmth of the fire and the presence of the group providing comfort and security. Their small hands rest on the ground, tracing absent patterns in the dirt. Their voices soft, their movements gentle, their presence adding a sense of tenderness to the evening. The sky grows darker still, the stars brighter, the air cooler, the sounds of the forest softer. The world feels peaceful, grounded and deeply connected, a place where time moves slowly, shaped by the natural rhythms of the land and the steady presence of those who call it home. The fire burns steadily, its glow illuminating the faces of the group, casting long shadows across the ground, creating a sense of warmth, safety, and continuity. The evening settles fully over the camp, wrapping it in a blanket of calm and quiet. The group rests, their bodies renewed by the warmth of the fire, their minds settled by the gentle beauty of the world around them. The day continues its gentle descent toward night, carrying with it the promise of rest, reflection, and the steady rhythm of sleep that will soon embrace the camp once more. The last light of the sun fades slowly beyond the horizon, leaving behind a soft glow that lingers in the sky, a gentle band of color that shifts from deep orange to muted rose before dissolving into the cool blue of approaching night. The air grows noticeably cooler, carrying with it the scent of damp earth, crushed grass, and the faint sweetness of night-blooming plants hidden among the trees. The sounds of the day soften, replaced by the quieter, more delicate sounds of the evening, the distant call of an owl, the soft rustle of leaves stirred by a gentle breeze, the subtle hum of insects beginning their nightly chorus. The world feels calm, expansive, and deeply still, as if settling into a long, slow breath. The fire at the center of the camp burns steadily, its flames rising and falling in a calm, rhythmic motion, casting warm light across the clearing, illuminating faces, tools, and the soft contours of the surrounding trees. The glow of the fire creates a circle of warmth and safety, a boundary between the familiar world of the camp and the vast, shadowed landscape beyond. Sparks drift upward into the darkening sky, disappearing into the growing expanse of stars that begin to appear one by one, faint at first, then gradually brighter as the night deepens. The group gathers closer to the fire, their bodies relaxed, their movements slow and unhurried, the warmth of the flames offering comfort after the cooling air of the evening. They sit on simple bedding made from dried grass and hides, their legs folded beneath them, their hands resting on their laps or on the ground beside them, their faces illuminated by the flickering light, their expressions calm, thoughtful, and softened by the quiet of the night. The fire crackles softly, sending gentle waves of warmth across the clearing, creating a sense of closeness and connection among those gathered around it. A woman adds a few more branches to the fire, adjusting the placement of the logs to ensure that the flames burn steadily through the night. Her movements are slow and deliberate, shaped by years of tending fires in the dark. She watches the flames rise, their light reflecting in her eyes. The fire responds with a soft crackle, sending a small burst of sparks into the air. The warmth spreads outward, creating a comfortable space where the group can rest, reflect, and prepare for sleep. The children, now tired from the long day, sit close to the adults, their bodies leaning gently against them, their eyes heavy with the onset of sleep. They watch the flames dance and flicker, their small hands tracing absent patterns in the dirt, their breaths slow and steady, the warmth of the fire and the presence of the group providing comfort and security. Their voices are soft, their movements gentle, their presence adding a sense of tenderness to the night, a reminder of the continuity that binds the group together. An older member of the group sits slightly apart from the others, their posture relaxed, their gaze lifted toward the sky. They watch the stars appear, one after another, forming patterns that have guided countless generations, patterns that mark the passage of time, the changing of seasons, the cycles of life. Their hands rest on their knees, their breath slow and steady, their presence calm and grounding, a quiet reminder of the deep knowledge that sustains the group. Knowledge carried not in words, but in memory, experience, and the steady rhythm of life lived close to the land. The sky grows darker, the stars brighter, the air cooler, the sounds of the forest softer. The world feels peaceful, grounded, and deeply connected. The fire burns steadily, its glow illuminating the faces of the group, casting long shadows across the ground, creating a sense of warmth, safety, and continuity. The clearing feels like a small island of light in a vast sea of darkness, a place where the group can rest, reflect, and find comfort in the presence of one another. A man sits near the fire, holding a small piece of wood in his hands, carving it slowly with a stone blade, his movements slow and deliberate, shaped by the calm of the night. He pauses occasionally to examine his progress, turning the wood in his hands, feeling its weight, its shape, its potential. He adjusts his grip, refines his technique, and continues carving. The sound of the blade scraping against the wood, blending with the other sounds of the camp, creating a soft, rhythmic harmony that fills the clearing nearby. A woman sorts through the plants gathered earlier, separating edible leaves from tougher stems, removing dirt from roots, checking berries for signs of spoilage. Her hands move with practiced ease, her expression calm and focused. She places the edible portions into a woven basket, setting aside the tougher parts to be used later for tools, cordage, or fire kindling. Her movements are steady and deliberate, shaped by years of experience and a quiet understanding that every part of the plant has value, that nothing is wasted in this world, where resources are precious and survival depends on careful use of everything the land provides. The hunters sit quietly, their bodies relaxed, their breaths slow and steady. They reflect on the day's work, the tracks followed, the decisions made, the challenges faced, their presence calm and grounded, shaped by the understanding that each day brings new opportunities, new lessons, new moments of connection with the land. They watch the fire, their eyes following the movement of the flames, their thoughts drifting gently, carried by the quiet of the night. The older member beneath the tree continues shaping the bone, their hands moving with slow, steady precision, the sound of the tool scraping against the bone blending with the other sounds of the camp. They pause occasionally to stretch their fingers, to examine their progress, to adjust their technique, their presence a quiet reminder of the deep knowledge that sustains the group. Knowledge passed down through countless generations. Knowledge that ensures the continuity of life in this ancient world. The children, now nearly asleep, lie down near the fire, their bodies curled beneath simple coverings made from animal hides. Their breaths slow and steady, their eyes closed, their faces relaxed. The warmth of the fire and the presence of the group providing comfort and security. The adults watch over them with quiet attentiveness, ensuring that they are safe, warm, and at peace. The sky above is now a vast expanse of darkness, filled with countless stars that shimmer like distant fires. The air is cool and still, carrying with it the faint scent of night, blooming plants, and the soft rustle of leaves stirred by the breeze. The world feels expansive, yet intimate. The vastness of the sky balanced by the closeness of the group, the warmth of the fire, the steady rhythm of breath and movement. One by one, the adults begin to settle down for the night. lying on simple bedding made from dried grass and hides, their bodies relaxing, their breaths slowing, their eyes closing. The fire continues to burn steadily, its glow illuminating the clearing, casting long shadows across the ground, creating a sense of warmth, safety, and continuity. The sounds of the forest soften, blending with the crackling of the fire, creating a gentle, soothing harmony that fills the night. The older member beneath the tree sets aside their work, placing the shaped bone carefully beside them. They lie down slowly, their bodies settling into the bedding, their breath slow and steady, their eyes closing as they listen to the sounds of the night. The fire crackling softly, the breeze rustling through the leaves, the distant call of an owl echoing through the forest. The world feels peaceful, grounded, and deeply connected. A place where time moves slowly, shaped by the natural rhythms of the land and the steady presence of those who call it home. The fire burns lower now, its flames reduced to a steady glow, the warmth spreading across the clearing, the light flickering gently, illuminating the sleeping forms of the group, their bodies curled beneath their coverings, their breaths slow and steady. The night wraps itself around the camp like a soft, protective blanket, the stars shining brightly above, the air cool and still, the world quiet and calm. The cycle of the day has come to an end, not with urgency, but with a natural and gentle transition into night. The group rests, their bodies renewed by the warmth of the fire, their minds settled by the gentle beauty of the world around them. The night continues its slow, steady rhythm, carrying with it the promise of rest, reflection, and the quiet return of dawn that will begin the cycle anew, guiding them into another day shaped by the land, the light, and the steady rhythm of life itself. Life in the ancient world unfolded with a rhythm that was both simple and profound, shaped not by clocks or schedules, but by the slow turning of the earth, the rising and setting of the sun, the shifting of seasons, and the quiet instincts that guided early humans through each day. The world around them was vast and untamed, filled with forests, plains, rivers, and mountains, each landscape offering both opportunity and challenge, each moment shaped by the delicate balance between survival and rest, effort and stillness, movement and observation. The people who lived in this world understood it not through maps or written knowledge, but through experience, memory, and the deep familiarity that comes from living close to the land. Their lives were grounded in the present, shaped by the immediate needs of the day, yet they carried with them a quiet awareness of the cycles that governed the world, the changing patterns of animal migrations, the growth of plants, the shifting of weather, the subtle signs that revealed when it was time to move, when it was time to stay, when it was time to gather, and when it was time to rest. This awareness was not taught through formal instruction, but absorbed through observation, through imitation, through the steady rhythm of daily life. Children learned by watching the adults, by touching the earth, by listening to the wind, by feeling the warmth of the sun and the coolness of the night, their education woven seamlessly into the fabric of existence. Life was communal, shaped by cooperation and shared responsibility. The group functioned as a single organism, each person contributing in their own way, each task connected to the others. Hunting required patience, strength, and coordination. Gathering required knowledge, attention, and endurance. Tool-making required precision and skill. Caring for children required gentleness and awareness. Tending the fire required vigilance and understanding. No task was considered lesser, no role unimportant. Each action supported the whole, each moment of effort contributing to the survival of the group. The fire was the heart of their world, a source of warmth, protection, and connection. Its glow illuminated the faces of the group during the long nights. Its heat softened the chill of early mornings. Its smoke carried the scent of safety. Its presence a constant reminder of the fragile boundary between the known and the unknown. The fire was tended with care, fed with branches and dried grass, protected from wind and rain. Its embers preserved through the night so that it could be rekindled at dawn. The fire was more than a tool. It was a companion, a symbol of continuity, a gathering place where stories were shared, where silence was held, where the group found comfort in one another's presence. Their shelters were simple, shaped from branches, leaves, and hides, offering protection from wind, rain, and cold, yet open enough to allow the sounds and scents of the world to flow through. The boundary between inside and outside was thin. The line between human and nature blurred. They slept close to one another, their bodies sharing warmth, their breaths rising in slow, steady rhythms that blended with the sounds of the night, the rustling of leaves, the distant calls of animals, the soft crackling of the fire. Sleep came not as an escape, but as a continuation of the day's rhythm, a gentle descent into rest guided by the natural world. Food was gathered and hunted with care, each plant examined, each track studied, each movement considered. The land provided, but it demanded respect, knowledge, and patience. Berries ripened in certain seasons, roots grew in specific soils. Animals followed predictable paths. Yet nothing was guaranteed. Some days brought abundance, others scarcity. The group adapted, adjusting their movements, their strategies, their expectations. Survival was not a struggle but a dance, a constant negotiation with the land, a relationship built on awareness, humility, and resilience. Tools were shaped from stone, bone, and wood, each one crafted with intention, each one carrying the memory of the hands that made it. The flint knapped into sharp blades, the bone carved into needles and hooks, the wood shaped into handles and shafts. The process of making tools was slow and deliberate, requiring patience, precision, and understanding. The sound of stone striking stone echoed softly through the camp, a rhythmic tapping that blended with the other sounds of daily life. The tools were not merely objects, but extensions of the body, extensions of knowledge, extensions of the long lineage of those who came before. Social bonds were strong, shaped by shared experience, shared effort, shared rest. The group communicated through gestures, glances, and soft vocalizations, words used sparingly. Meaning carried through context, tone, and familiarity. Conflict was rare, not because disagreements did not exist, but because cooperation was essential. The survival of the group depended on harmony, on understanding, on the quiet recognition that each person's well-being was tied to the well-being of the whole. Moments of tension were resolved through subtle shifts, through shared tasks, through the calming presence of the fire, through the steady rhythm of daily life. The world was not silent, but its sounds were gentle, layered, and constant. The rustling of leaves stirred by the breeze, the distant calls of birds, the soft hum of insects, the quiet movement of animals through the underbrush, the trickling of water over stones, the crackling of the fire, the rhythmic tapping of stone against stone, the soft murmur of voices. The world was alive with sound, yet none of it felt overwhelming. Each sound carried meaning, each sound part of the larger rhythm of life. Life was not easy, but it was full, rich with sensory detail, grounded in the present, shaped by the land, the light, the seasons, and the quiet strength of the group. The challenges they faced were real, but so were the moments of beauty, the warmth of the fire, the softness of the morning light, the taste of fresh berries, the coolness of the stream, the comfort of shared rest, the quiet joy of watching children play, the deep satisfaction of completing a task, the steady rhythm of breath and movement, the sense of belonging that came from living closely with others. This was life then, simple yet profound, challenging yet meaningful, shaped by the land, the seasons, and the quiet resilience of those who called this ancient world their home. A life lived not in haste, but in harmony, not in isolation, but in connection, not in abundance, but in balance. A life that unfolded slowly, gently, and with deep awareness of the world around them. Life in the ancient world was shaped not only by the tasks of survival, but by the countless, small moments that filled the spaces between effort and rest. Moments of curiosity, creativity, connection, and quiet observation. The day was long, but it was not rushed. Time flowed gently, shaped by the natural rhythms of the land, the shifting of light, the movement of animals, the growth of plants, the changing of weather. Early humans filled their days with a blend of work, learning, exploration, and simple human presence. Each moment carrying meaning, each action contributing to the continuity of life. When the essential tasks of hunting and gathering were complete, the group turned their attention to other forms of activity, tasks that supported survival in quieter ways, tasks that strengthened social bonds, tasks that brought comfort, stability, and a sense of purpose. One of the most important of these was tool-making, the shaping of stone, bone, and wood into objects that extended the abilities of the body. The process was slow and deliberate, requiring patience, precision, and understanding. The sound of stone striking stone echoed softly through the camp, a rhythmic tapping that blended with the other sounds of daily life. Each flake that fell from the core revealed a sharper edge, a more refined shape, a step closer to a tool that would be used for cutting, scraping, carving, or hunting. Others worked on weaving baskets from flexible branches and grasses, their hands moving with practiced ease, shaping the fibers into sturdy containers that would carry food, tools, and other essential items. The weaving was done with quiet concentration, the pattern forming gradually, the basket growing slowly beneath their fingers. The process was calming, meditative, a moment of stillness within the larger rhythm of the day. The finished baskets were strong, lightweight, and durable, each one carrying the memory of the hands that made it. Some members of the group spent time repairing clothing and coverings made from animal hides, using bone needles and sinew thread to stitch together pieces of hide, their movements precise and careful, the sound of the needle piercing the hide soft and rhythmic. The finished garments provided warmth, protection, and comfort, essential for surviving the cold nights and the changing seasons. The process of sewing was slow but deeply meaningful, a quiet act of care that supported the well-being of the entire group. Children filled their days with exploration and play, their curiosity boundless, their movements light and energetic. They wandered through the clearing, picking up stones, leaves, and sticks, examining them with wide eyes, turning them over in their hands, discovering textures, shapes, and patterns. They imitated the actions of the adults, pretending to scrape hides, repair tools, or track animals. Their play was not separate from learning, but intertwined with it, a natural extension of the world they inhabited, a world where every object, every sound, every movement carried meaning. Their laughter was soft and scattered, carried gently by the breeze, adding a sense of warmth and life to the camp. The group also spent time observing the world around them, watching the movement of animals, the growth of plants, the shifting of weather, the changing of light. These observations were not idle but essential, shaping their understanding of the land, guiding their decisions, informing their movements. They watched the sky for signs of rain, the behavior of birds for signs of predators, the patterns of animal tracks for signs of opportunity. Their awareness was constant, not tense, but deeply attuned, a natural extension of survival. They also engaged in quiet forms of communication, sharing gestures, glances, and soft vocalizations, words used sparingly, meaning carried through context, tone, and familiarity. They shared stories in simple forms, not through elaborate narratives, but through gestures, sounds, and expressions that conveyed memory, experience, and emotion. These moments of connection strengthened social bonds, creating a sense of belonging, continuity, and shared identity. Rest was also an important part of the day, moments when the group lay on the grass, their bodies relaxed, their breaths slow and steady, listening to the sounds of the world, feeling the warmth of the sun or the coolness of the shade. These moments were not seen as idle, but as necessary. A time for the body to recover, for the mind to settle, for the senses to absorb the quiet beauty of the world. Rest was woven into the rhythm of the day. A natural counterbalance to effort, they also created simple forms of art, carving patterns into bone or wood, arranging stones into shapes, weaving decorative elements into baskets. These acts were not separate from survival, but intertwined with it. Expressions of identity, memory, and connection. Small gestures that added beauty to the world, that brought comfort, that strengthened the sense of belonging within the group. As the day progressed, the group moved through these activities with a calm, steady rhythm, their movements shaped by the natural flow of time, their awareness grounded in the present, their actions guided by the needs of the group and the opportunities of the land. Life was not rushed, but lived fully, each moment carrying meaning, each action contributing to the continuity of existence. This was how they filled their days, not with haste or distraction, but with presence, awareness, and connection. Their lives shaped by the land, the seasons, and the quiet strength of the group, their days unfolding slowly, gently, and with deep appreciation for the world around them, a world that provided, challenged, and embraced them in equal measure. As the night settles fully over the ancient world, the fire at the center of the camp burns low, its warm glow reduced to a soft bed of embers that pulse gently in the darkness, casting faint, flickering light across the ground. The air is cool and still, carrying with it the quiet sense of earth, smoke, and distant vegetation. The sounds of the forest have softened into a gentle hush, a slow rhythm of rustling leaves, distant insects, and the occasional whisper of wind moving through the trees. The world feels calm, grounded, and deeply at peace. Wrapped in the soft embrace of night, the people of the small group lie close to one another, their bodies curled beneath simple coverings made from animal hides, their breaths rising and falling in slow, steady waves, their minds drifting into the quiet spaces between waking and sleep, the warmth of the fire and the presence of the group offering comfort and security, their silhouettes barely visible in the dim light, blending with the shadows of the clearing, becoming part of the landscape itself, part of the ancient rhythm that has guided countless generations through the long, gentle hours of the night. Above them, the sky stretches wide and endless, filled with countless stars that shimmer like distant fires, each one a silent reminder of the vastness of the world, the passage of time, and the continuity of life. The constellations shift slowly across the sky, marking the movement of the earth, the turning of seasons, the quiet cycles that shape the world. The moon hangs low, casting a pale, silvery glow across the land, illuminating the tops of trees, the surface of the stream, the soft contours of the sleeping camp. The night feels timeless, ancient, and deeply familiar, a place where the boundaries between past and present dissolve. The fire crackles softly, sending a final drift of sparks into the air, the embers glowing like tiny stars scattered across the ground. The warmth spreads outward in gentle waves, wrapping the camp in a cocoon of safety and stillness. The world outside the clearing fades into darkness, the sounds of the forest blending into a soft, distant hum. The night holds the camp gently, patiently, as if guarding it until the return of dawn. And as you rest here with them, listening to the quiet rhythm of the ancient world. Feeling the calm of the night settle around you, you become part of this moment, part of this landscape, part of this long, unbroken thread of human life. You feel the weight of the day drift away, replaced by a deep sense of peace, of grounding, of connection to something older and larger than yourself. The slow breath of the earth, the steady pulse of the fire, the soft whisper of wind through the trees, all of it guiding you gently toward rest. The night deepens, the stars shine brighter, the world grows quieter still, and the ancient rhythm of sleep begins to take hold. Slow and steady, soft and natural, carrying you deeper into calm, deeper into stillness, deeper into the quiet spaces where thought dissolves and the body sinks into rest. The fire glows softly, the group sleeps peacefully, the land breathes in long, gentle waves, and you drift with it, carried by the same timeless rhythm that has guided humanity through countless nights beneath open skies. And as you drift, the world becomes softer, the sounds more distant, the light more faint, the night wrapping around you like a warm, familiar blanket, holding you gently, guiding you toward sleep, toward rest, toward the quiet renewal that awaits in the hours ahead. The ancient world settles into silence. The fire glows like a heartbeat in the dark, and you drift with it, slowly, peacefully, effortlessly, into sleep.